Hey, what's up? Jeff Lerner here. Just want to take a minute to shoot a video to give some tips about public speaking. I'm here on site at the Lowe's Coronado Beach Resort in Coronado, California. My company's hosting an event here for the next several days. I'm going to be spending quite a bit of time on stage, connecting with people live, and it's just something I get really excited to do. I've always been excited at the idea of doing it, but I can't say that I've always gotten really excited about actually doing it because, frankly, it's something that's not supernatural and a little bit even nerve-wracking when you first just kind of throw yourself into it. And you definitely get better with practice, and particularly the nervousness and the anxiety goes away with practice. But public speaking is a real art and science. There's a skill set to it. There's things you can do, little things you can do, just like in athletics, just like with a golf swing, just like in acting or any kind of performance art. There's little things you can do that can really, really increase your effectiveness and ultimately your end result. I've closed millions of dollars in sales from stage. I've generated quite a great income just from being on stage, and frankly, I've done it when I had very few results, and that's kind of frankly demoralizing when you don't feel like you're connecting with people, and if you go to like pitch something or have a big moment and people don't respond, that's like kind of almost debilitating, and you just a little bit of training goes a long way. So anyway, I'm gonna give you a couple tips. Maybe this is just a starting point. You can build on these, but I'm gonna tell you one thing that I do before I go on stage. I'm gonna tell you one thing that I do from stage, and I'm gonna tell you one thing that I do at the end of my presentation, which is a much neglected piece of the equation, I think, for people. So first of all, before I go on stage, I have a number of different warm-ups. You really just want to engage your body. You want to get your body not like exhausted, not fatigued like working out, but very worked up, very engaged, very, where you're literally have like sort of a heightened tactile awareness from your fingertips to your toes and all points in between. And one of the things I really like to focus on is breathing. So aside from stretching and, sort of biomechanic engagement stuff, I really do focus a lot on breathing. And I have actually a couple things I do, I put two things together to make one exercise that I do that I actually learned when I used to take voice lessons. I learned this from my voice teacher, who was a really successful opera singer. Her name's Frances. Hi, Frances, if you see this. Frances Fenton down in Houston, Texas. Anyway, she taught me two things. One was she taught something called lion face, where you literally picture your nose broadening, your cheekbones broadening, your eyes coming big and wide and open, just making your face like a lion, like in your mind as much as on your face, picturing your face spreading like a lion. And then while I do that, I actually this is gonna sound weird, I actually breathe in through my butt. Now, unless you have a pretty interesting medical condition, I don't think anybody can actually breathe in or suck air in through their butt. That's not what I'm saying. But visualization is such a part of biomechanics and just like in athletics and any kind of performance. So what I picture is I actually picture two nostrils, one on each of my butt cheeks, about the size of a golf ball. And so when I breathe in, doing the lion face, I actually imagine the air coming in through those holes, like I have nostrils in my butt. And what that does is it gives you the sensation of the air filling your torso from the bottom up. Usually when we breathe, we have this sensation of air coming in here and hitting here and filling our torso and our diaphragm or our lungs, from the top down and pushing our diaphragm down. Now, obviously, you're not really bringing air into your lower abdomen. There's no air cavity down there. But mentally, if you feel the sensation of the air filling your torso from the bottom up, what happens is you really engage your core muscles and you create this really stable base to move around from. And in addition to strengthening your voice, taking pressure off of your vocal cords, it also gives you, just in the way that you move on stage, it gives you kind of a unified flow to your movement, because your core is firm but not rigid, as long as you've got those side and abdomen muscles engaged and that's the easiest sensation I've come up with that I can, where I'm not flexing, I'm not tiring myself out, is to think of filling the air in my torso from the bottom up. And the best way for me mentally to do that is by picturing literally nostrils in my butt cheeks. Kind of funny, but it's done wonders for me live. Now, during the speech or the presentation, whatever you're doing, quick tip, one of the things I like to do is look at people's foreheads. And they say you want to give the appearance or create the experience of making good eye contact with your audience. But one of the things I found is that when you really actually look your audience members in the eyes, sometimes there can be a tendency to kind of get honed in on people. Like you lock eye contact and it almost becomes like a spell. And as a presenter, we love people that are paying attention to us. So when there's people that are really looking at you with captive eyes, it becomes sort of natural to go back to looking at them again and again and relocking that eye contact, because you feel like, hey, I'm really connecting with everyone. But over the course of a presentation, let's say you're speaking for 30 or 60 or 90 minutes, if you keep going back and looking at the same person over and over, it becomes like a crutch. You tend to, you've got so much going on when you're up there, you're not thinking about maybe the fact that you keep looking at the same person over and over, because there's literally something called limbic resonance that happens when you lock eyes with someone. And when you find one person who's really engaged with you and you engage back, that becomes a lock that's easy to return to over and over. And it may sound kind of weird, but I've seen myself on video and I've caught myself doing it where I keep going back to looking at the same person, and I'm almost like neglecting a whole part of the room, a whole part of the auditorium. And so what I found is that if I actually scan people's foreheads, if you've got enough distance, even in the front rows, typically 15 feet away when you're up on a stage, it feels exactly like you're looking in their eyes. To the audience, it feels like you're making eye contact, but you never get stuck in a certain connection, and you end up doing a lot more scanning and making the whole room feel a lot more included. And it's actually pretty crazy, because you can be looking, there can be somebody in a balcony that's 50 yards away, and you might think that it makes no difference where exactly you look, but if you'll just keep the sense of looking at people's foreheads, even from distances where you would think it would make no difference, they still feel that connection like you're looking them in the eyes. It's really cool, and I've gotten that feedback from people who never in a million years imagined that I wasn't actually making true eye contact, that I was actually looking at their foreheads. Now, the final tip that I want to talk about is actually how you end your presentation. And it's different if you're pitching something and there's a call to action, or you're thanking people, or you're referring people to a website, or you're referring people to buy a book, or you're taking questions. Usually the final moment of a presentation is structurally very, very important. It's the last impression you get. It's the thing that they take away and that they're left with, right? So just like you never get a second chance to make a first impression, you really never get a second chance to make a last impression with a presentation with an audience. And so really, really think through exactly how you want to end. I'm not a big fan of rehearsing presentations or scripting them out. Usually, if you can get away with not writing it all out beforehand, absolutely you should do that. But and it's the same thing with shooting videos. If you know exactly how you're going to end, you have a strong kind of punchline or statement of summation, or a strong, clear call to action that you're aiming for, it's a lot easier to hit a target if you've actually defined the target. So take the time to really think through what the last 10 seconds of your presentation sound like. And maybe even run that a few times, and just mentally, once you decide, okay, I'm going in for that moment, commit, go to it, stop with confidence, break, be done, gracefully turn and exit. Let the end be the end. I see so many presenters who give all this great content. They're experts at whatever they're talking about, but they're not experts at actual public speaking. And so they just kind of ramble and run and dribble out, and okay, well, so I guess that's it. I guess that's what I had to say. Thanks. I'll be at the back of the room, I guess. If you have questions, come find me. Okay, cool. My name's Jeff. I'll see you later. And then they leave, and you're like, it's like watching a really good movie with a really bad ending. No, you gotta end it with confidence and a clear-cut call to action or if not a call to action, a strong summation of what their big takeaway needs to be. Most people can really only take away one thing. And so if there's a specific thing you want that to be, reinforce it, be done, strong close, leave. All right, hey, hope that helps, folks. I'm gonna go start prepping. And if you're here, I'll see you on stage. And if not, well then leave me a comment below. And here, I'm gonna try to practice what I preach, right, with a strong ending. Leave me a comment below. Let me know if this helps you and how you were able to put it to effect in your own life. I appreciate your time. This is Jeff Lerner, signing off.